Well, good morning, sunshines. Callie Carroll here talking about money again with our magic practice, our 28 days of intentional gratitude, and working on perhaps continuing to heal our relationship with money and shift our mindset around money. For some of us that might benefit from a shift. So, first of all, we have already done two other money practices within the magic. If you guys have not listened to those, you can go back. The first one was acknowledging all the things we've received in the past. And this was a really great step in starting to heal any broken thoughts that we don't deserve money and that we don't receive any sort of Eeyore game that we have around finances. And by that, I mean, woe is me. I will never have, I will never receive because you're creating that. And we dove into all of the things that we received as a kid that we were never expected to pay, whether that was having electricity and we didn't have to pay the electric bill, or getting to go to a sports practice, or simply having a roof over our head. We were given those things without having to pay for them. And then the second practice we did was around our bills. And we got to say, and still continue to get to say, thank you, thank you, thank you every time we pay for something, whether that's your mortgage or your coffee in the morning. And instead of thinking, oh man, look at this money going out, you think about what you've received on the other side. And we're expressing gratitude for money so that we can attract more to us. Today's the third magical practice. It's the magic check. It is my favorite of the 28 days. I do believe, I love them all, but this one is fun, you guys. But before we dive into it, I want to just have a little money talk with you because some people don't think that having money is necessarily a good thing. In fact, there is a common stereotype for people who are quote unquote rich or wealthy that they are fill in the blank. When I say, when I talk about a rich person, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? A lot of people would see ego right off the bat. They're going to see selfishness, cocky, hypocritical. And I don't exactly know where we have all gotten this idea or mindset that that's what having wealth or riches does. Like I think about Scrooge right away, right away. And the fact is that it has for a lot of us, including myself in the past. I was like, oh, you don't want too much money because then you're X, Y, and Z. The second that becomes your thought process, you are telling the universe, please, you don't need to take care of me. Don't send me more opportunities for income or different, just any financial benefit, because that's not a good thing. So the first thing that we need to do is address that. Because if that's your mindset, then this isn't going to work because you're telling the universe you don't want money. So we've worked on healing so far with our past and with our bills, but acknowledging to yourself that having money is not a bad thing, you guys. Having money, being rich, being wealthy is not a bad thing. What I've seen and what I've come to learn is that the more money you have, it's just going to support you in showing up more as you are. What I mean by that is if you're already a selfish, cocky, hypocritical, angry person, yeah, that's going to be like amplified. It's like turning the volume up. The more money that comes towards you, the more money that you attract, the more money that you have. Likewise, if you are a loving, giving, sharing, caring person, the more money you have, the more that you're going to step into that role. It's not a bad thing. It's just going to turn the volume up on who you are. So maybe you want to address who you are first off. And I think we're all working on that in this practice. If you've been carrying or harboring any sort of negative energy, that's really a lot of what we're doing here with the 28 days of gratitude is we're letting go of that. And when we take a look at our finances and the ability to create wealth in our lives, it is very empowering, I think. So if you have a bad image of what it looks like to have wealth, try to work on rewiring that. I was looking up Rhonda Byrne and just doing some research on her and her different books. And one of the things right away that it talks about that I found is how does she still have so much money when she gives so much away? Like literally they talk about her philanthropic and the way that she continues to give. How does she still have such a high net worth? But the more she gives, the more she receives. That's the way that it works. The other thing about having money and paying for experiences where some people are like, oh, well, that's so selfish. You want to have an extra car, you want to have a bigger house, you want to have shoes like this, you want to go on that type of vacation. And some people have a way about them where they're like, they think that that's bad that the other person wants for more or is getting more or is creating more in their lives. But I want to remind you, every single thing, every single place where you earn money and you spend your money, you, whether it's, going out and buying a nice steak dinner or getting having a gardener, you have somebody to take care of your property. Oh man, how who would do something like that? You're actually feeding the economy every time you're spending money. The more that you get, the more that you receive, the more that you give, the more that you feed the economy, you're helping other people. When you decide to take that trip to Tahiti, and somebody else has something to say about that, like, wow, you're that type of person that's going to take the family to Tahiti. Yep. And I'm going to be giving to all sorts of people along that, whether that's the airline, the pilot, the people that are on the ground working at the airport, conducting the traffic for the planes, the hotel that you're staying at, every restaurant that you go to, everywhere you go, and every dime that you spend, you are serving other people. Having money is a beautiful thing. Spending, giving money is a beautiful thing. You are helping so many people when you're doing that. But you can't spend it if you don't have it. So, how do we get it? Let's start with that, Cal. Let's talk about the magic practice. How are you going to bring us more money? I'm not going to do anything. This is all about you and mending your relationship with finances, admitting to yourself that, hey, yeah, you know what? Getting $100,000, $1 million, $50, I don't care what it is, would not be a bad thing. That could be something pretty amazing. I could feed the economy with that money that I'm given. And the practice, this is so we've already done like for the past and the present. This is about the future. We're going to declare something that we would want to have, and we're going to ask for the money for it. Right away, you're like, where am I supposed to ask? How am I supposed to do this? You want the how. We're not going through the how or any of that piece of it. We're going right to the end. What do you want? And we're going to write a magical check for that. I don't know if you guys ever heard the story about Jim Carrey and him before he made it at all in the movie world, writing out a check to himself. And I don't remember, I didn't look this up right before here, the amount that it was for, a million, 10 million, 100 million, I don't know, finances change, right? But he received that. He wrote it, he took out his checkbook and wrote it to himself. And then looking back later, he received that amount. Wild what we're able to do. And we're going to write a physical check. Some of you are like, what's a check? This will be a great opportunity for you to learn how to write a check to yourself for X amount of money. So you're going to be learning all sorts of stuff if you haven't done that in the past. If you're, any amount younger than me and you haven't done it before. So when we look at how you can receive money, first of all, let's acknowledge that it's not just by having a pile of cash show up on your doorstep tomorrow, which that's great. That's cool. But there are a lot of different ways where money comes into your life. And when you see that maybe you already are receiving and you'll acknowledge it as it comes in. And every time it comes in, you're saying thank you, and then more comes in. So money can come to you by receiving an unexpected check, an increase in your salary, a lottery win, a tax refund, an unanticipated gift of money from someone. It could be where somebody picks up your tab at lunch or for a coffee, where an item's discounted that you didn't suspect you were going to have that discount, where you get money back on a purchase, where somebody gives you a gift of something you were going to buy. Like you were going to buy a dog kennel, but somebody just gave you one. So now it's like you just got $80 because you didn't have to spend the $80. So there's a lot of different ways where you receive money. Maybe it's a lower interest rate. Somebody lets you borrow something that you were going to have to go rent. That's all money in your pocket. Money that did not have to go out is now money in your pocket. Less money that went out is now money in your pocket. Money that you directly receive is money in your pocket. So when you're looking at the magic check, it's going to be a combination of all of these things coming to you. I really like the Secret Money app because it helps you track all of these different things where you receive money. So like you'll actually track if somebody bought your coffee that morning and you would have spent $6.50, then you write that down. Thank you, thank you, thank you for the $6.50 I received. And every single time, remember that we're saying thank you and we have a positive energy exchange with money, we will receive more. We're bringing more into our world, not having to worry about where that's going to come from, but it's just there. And as you pick the thing that you want to receive and you write out your check, you're going to start to acknowledge all of the different spaces it came from. The first time I did this, I wish that I had these all written down, but I think maybe our washer or our dryer broke and I needed X amount for that, like $1,100 or whatever it was. And after I wrote the check and it ended up coming in from somewhere random, I don't know if it was like in my PayPal account for something that I had done in the past already. And it just showed up. I'm like, oh my gosh, John, look at this magical practice. This is crazy. Let's go bigger. And I started to get into this regular practice of writing down on a check the amount for something that you needed. So here's the key to this. You don't write the magic check for $250,000 because you want to put $250,000 in the bank, because that's not feeding and serving. That's not the exchange, right? Of give and receive and give. It's money that comes in to go back out, not to be stored. Does that make sense? So maybe like in our case, we have two kids that are going to be in college coming up here soon. $250,000 would go towards college expenses. So that could be me putting it in their college education account so that we can pay for that. That is a very viable thing in our world right now. That's probably going to be the check that I write after this conversation with you guys. And you write down an amount for something that you are going to be paying for. That's part of the magic. Some people feel a little bit intimidated starting with something that big. And it also is very supportive in anything that we do to have small wins, to create a belief so we can do better. Have you guys noticed that in any practice in your life? You don't just go out and run 10 miles. You go out and you walk 1 mile first, perhaps. And you're like, I did it. And then you get a little bit more, a little bit more. So start where you feel comfortable. Maybe you would like to ask for, you need to cover your electric bill this month. And it's $162. So you write down your magic check, $160. You're going to make it out to yourself. There's in the book, if you guys got the book, there's an actual check that you can just like make a photocopy of, or you can just go to thesecret.com. I believe that's what it is. And you can, thesecret.tv, sorry. You can download your own checks there and you're going to make it out to yourself. And it's going to be signed from the universe. And for the amount that you want, $162, for what? You're going to have that in there. What is this check for? And then once you have it, once you like get that money, I love to save that and say paid, write it across it and save the magic check. So after you write it for the $162, see the different places where you save money over the next day, week, whatever that is. Or where somebody gives you something, or the actual like just direct money that you have, the discounts, all the different things that I just went to. And you might want to start, like I said, with something that's a little bit smaller. After you do that, pick another one, write another check. You guys, these are unlimited checks. You can just keep writing them. Some of you are going to think this sounds crazy. It's not going to work. Well, first of all, your attitude that you're bringing into it is going to influence what you have going on. So you do really want to open your heart to the belief of what could possibly happen. If you haven't watched The Secret special, watch that so you can kind of see the success stories of what has occurred for other people in the past, and start where you feel comfortable looking at the possible money you could bring into your world. I have received well over $10,000 doing this practice. And I just haven't really been doing the direct check lately. This is why I love doing this, you guys, because it brings me back to the practices as well. I have received much more than that, but I haven't put the check down. I haven't like written down the check. So I'm going to go back to the practice, but I will tell you from my own personal experience, I've seen it time and time again. You put it out there and all of a sudden it starts showing up from these unexpected places and it's extraordinary. There is an abundance of opportunities out there. And if you're living in a scarcity mindset and you don't believe that, you are going to keep receiving scarcity. You have to open your heart to the idea of abundance and start saying thank you, thank you, thank you for every even minor little bit that you start to collect because it's equating to that abundance in order to start to attract it. So if you're not in a good financial way currently, and believe me, I've been there, bankruptcy, lost homes, all of the different things. I feel you. You can make a shift. There are so many different opportunities out there for you to improve your finances. And I really am excited to hear some of the shifts that you guys make after reading this chapter, doing this practice, and seeing what can occur. So, when you do have one of those positive experiences, whether it's the $20 that you wanted for your fast food meal that you were going to grab, or it's $250,000 for your college education for a couple kids, I want to hear about it. So make sure you shoot me a message because this practice works, you guys. We are walking our way through 28 days of intentional gratitude with Rhonda Byrne's book, The Magic. If you have not done the other practices, go back and start to mend some of your relationships with finances, with people, with yourself, with your health, all of the different things we have done so far. We still have 10 more practice, 10 or 11 more practices that we're going to be doing to intensify all that we have already done. So make sure you subscribe, continue to follow along so that you can get the most out of the magic. And I am so grateful for each and one of you, each and every one of you guys taking the time for yourself to do this practice. Don't forget, you guys, perspective reveals miracles. And I'm excited to talk to you soon. I can't wait to see your checks.